So yeah, it's the first time I'm gonna do a live video, and I know everybody on every media platform, Instagram, Facebook, now YouTube, Google Hangouts, all that space. Everybody's doing something live, and most people are like, yo, you doing a live, one, ain't nobody watching, and two, you ain't doing shit for us to be watching. So I don't know. So this is my first time attempting the YouTube streaming. I guess I theoretically wanted to test out using the service because I do plan on utilizing it more in the future. But it was kind of a way for me to set up a platform for us to talk if you wanted to talk and converse and things like that. So you gotta pardon the noise outside. It's so beautiful out here. Decided to come sit on the porch, but neighbor's cutting his grass. I need to cut mine, but I don't feel like it. So yeah, like I said, I'm kind of just talking to myself like I do on any other normal video, which is, I don't see the difference between, doing a live video and recording yourself, talking to yourself, and uploading it for later watching. Anyway, so it is Free Yourself Friday. So Free Yourself Friday, we talk about letting go, about being freely, authentically you, about stepping outside of whatever box that you put yourself in. Maybe it's letting go of some hurt, some past trauma, and things like that. And usually I don't try to get deeply personal on things like that. And I don't know, a lot of things have been going through my head over the last week about how much I do open up, and not even just to other people, but basically to myself. How much of my honesty am I looking at? Like, am I avoiding having that conversation because I fear other people looking at me, or because I just don't want to admit it to myself that's what is going on and how to move past that. I think what solidified some of that for me today in terms of really pushing this out was listening to Jay-Z's new shit this morning, and basically it's like you can't hear what you won't reveal. Like, if you're not willing to open yourself up, and this is not saying that you have to open yourself up to the world or sit in front of a social media platform and let everybody know your deep, dark secrets in order to get past them. What it is talking about is like you have to be able to see those dark spaces, understand those dark spaces in order for you to heal those dark spaces. So whatever that has a meaning for in your life, I'm sure that there's a lot that we can say that we've gone through personally that we probably need some healing from, some more than others. And so what I wanted to use today especially for was talking about sexual trauma, talking about sexual assault and violence against that chakra system, that creative outlet, that creativity part, that expression, violence against that part of us, and how do we move on, how do we heal from that, steps. And I'm not coming here as somebody who has every answer. I'm not going to write down like a step-by-step thing that you should do, because healing takes time and healing looks different for everybody. What I'm trying to do is create the space that we can have open dialogue about how necessary and important that is for us, especially when we're trying to move on to have separate, meaningful, intimate interactions later on in life. So, like, if our goal is to not be to let that trauma kind of take its toll on you and keep you in those dark, hidden places, what do we do to move on beyond that? How do we take those steps to make sure that we're healing? Because what I'm finding out a lot is that we do a lot of letting people feel, and everybody has the right to feel whatever emotion that they're going to feel. And that expression is going to look different from everybody else, but it's like, what do we do past it? Do you want to move past it? Do you want to assess and see what your life can look like in a healing space? And I think it's beautiful that some women create this space where you're like, you know what, you can come here and vent and speak on how you feel, and we understand your pain, love. And especially that exist on levels. Some women have had some very, very traumatic things happen to me. I know I exist in one of those spaces where it's like, I know that women have had it way worse than me, but I also know that sexual trauma, rape trauma is real. Whatever it looks like for you, or however it has, if it has presented itself in your life, it doesn't look the same for everybody. So that being said, it's like we have to make sure that we enter into healing spaces as well, because it's not what good is it? What good is it of us to point out the places where it's bad, to point out the inconsistencies, to point out the danger, to point out the scary shit, to point out the misogyny and the patriarchy, to point out the violence? If we're not doing anything to recover from the violence, we're just sitting here just taking it in, and we're not helping each other heal. We're not trying to heal ourselves. And so I think that's where a lot of the other issues that we have present itself, because women don't feel like they're in a healing space, or don't feel like they have even the space to have those conversations, especially when it comes to something like sexual assault, because people have their understandings and their definitions of what they feel is, legitimate rape. We've heard that like how many years now? Like people talk about, oh, that's not legitimate. And so what it does is just, it takes you down into understanding like what went on with yourself and things like that. So then you'll have like you just we all know how hard and how unreported rape incidences go, or sexual assault cases go. We all know that it is one of those things that we're quick to blame the victim. We're quick to not understand because we don't see how somebody can do that to us or whatever. Was involved in a situation a few months back that left me with those same questions. Like, do I tell? Do I can't report this because I'm gonna have those questions from the cop? Like, well, I don't see any evidence. I don't see a struggle. I don't see any blood on your fingers. I don't see any scratches or any bruises, ma'am. And the fact that's what I'm thinking from a cop's perspective is because that's I confided in somebody at the time, somebody that I was dealing with, and let them know like this is what happened, and that was the same reaction. Like, why would you call me and not the police? Well, you're the one walking around my apartment right now trying to find evidence, right? So this is all that's going through my head, like feeling like I'm traumatized again and again. And so after I kind of healed up from that space of being assaulted and then being what felt like abandoned and then accused of like basically lying about what happened, being over dramatic, is kind of what I got told. I really became intentional about healing and about understanding myself and about understanding the energy that was around me. And as much as we don't like to say it, sexual energy does play a part in life, like in terms of what we carry, what we bring in from other people. There's no such thing in my mind as casual sex, in terms of like you can have it casually, but the after effects, what it brings into your life, the energy that it opens you up for, both positive and negative, is not casual. So understanding that, like, yeah, you can do it that way, but just understanding what that's going to mean and what that might look like, especially if you're trying to not bring negativity upon you and things like that. So I'm hoping that you can hear me. Anyway, so where was I? So yeah, like I said, so just about being intentional about understanding that's energy that you brought upon yourself. So I kind of started with that notion, like, okay, that this is not going to be the incident that pushes me to the edge of I can't stand any of the male species. Like most of them, I mean, we have our moments where you're like, you know what, fuck this, I don't care. But I didn't want it to shape me attempting to make connections with other people. So it was, so I didn't want it to negatively affect future understandings, because like it's a saying that I say, like, and people say this all the time, and I say this to my cousin to drill it to her, like, hurt people hurt people. And so if we want to end the cycle of like that abuse and that hurt, and then that reaction to the hurt, and then that, you know, reacting to what we think is going to be hurt, we have to understand what that hurt has done to us. And this is not to excuse the people that have preyed upon you or have hurt you. And this is not to say that you can't confront those people as well, but you're understanding what that hurt and that pain has done to you. So the way I deal with those things is I do write. I've started doing these videos where I actually have the conversations with myself. And I encourage people, like, if you're not a writer, to find some way of outwardly expressing how you feel, whether it's going to be talking to somebody else that you trust or you're talking to yourself. But I really do encourage you to not just rely on the conversation and the companionship of other people. Those are good in moments. Sometimes companionship. I'm going to post a link to Blue Centric had a very, very good post about companionship versus partnership. And sometimes companions, they're temporary people, and they can distract us. And sometimes distractions are necessary so that we can find space to organize ourselves, so that we're not, you know, doing it in a state of frenzy, in a state of panic, in a state of rush. But we have to understand those distractions for what they are. And we have to understand that sometimes they can be a drain on our energy reserves. So just being aware that those kind of people, that what kind of role that they can have in your life. So yeah, but back to this notion, like, don't rely on just what other people are going to say to you. You have to understand it for yourself. Like, the only person who knows those deepest, darkest corners, even the ones that you try to ignore, especially as it relates to being violated in a space that is supposed to be about power and creativity, about having control over yourself. To be violated in that way, it takes away all that power. It takes away that control that you feel you have. And so it's very, very difficult to start to trust yourself, to trust your judgment, to trust what you're bringing into your life is healthy for you. Like, you start to blame yourself for the things that you've experienced and the people that you've allowed in your life and the people who have made the decision to hurt you. You take the blame for that. You take the responsibility. And that's not necessary. It's not. I know it's understandable because I've been there. I'm still walking through those moments where I'm trying to navigate, like, not blaming myself. But then understanding when I do need to take responsibility for what I've done and how I felt. A lot of the times it's not to say that you deserve to get hurt. And it's not to say that it is on you to fix other people. What it is yes, you're in a space where you don't trust yourself, you're hurt, you're feeling broken. But sometimes we have to understand what are we doing to ourselves to make us stay down there. Like, are we so broken with ourselves? Are we so in a space that we can't stand looking into us, that we continually allow these type of people to take up residence in our space? Because at some point we have to realize that we are complicit in allowing people in our lives. Now, that's not to say that we told them to come and do this stuff, but if we know certain people or certain types are going to hurt us, and we see those patterns recircling themselves in our lives again, then we have to make sure that we stop ourselves from making those same mistakes that got us back into those patterns. Like hurt and pain and trauma, we cannot escape. As much as we want to, as much as we want to say, like, I wish the world was perfect, but it's one of those catch-22s, that pendulum, that balance of life. Like, as harsh as it might sound, like, it's gonna be that up and down, that good and that bad. So because we can't avoid sometimes that trauma, we have to figure out, how do we manage, how do we navigate, how do we move on beyond it. Because it's one thing to be aware of things. It's one thing to be aware of even how we approach the situation. It's one thing to even be aware of what happens in our lives to put us in those cycles that allow us to be set up to either be destroyed or where it puts us in the path of destruction. Is there ways to avoid it? Are we noticing those patterns? So, like I said, you have to understand that for yourself. You have to understand what's going on in your life. And so I know it's really hard to have that conversation after rape trauma because it's like that's such a violent and demeaning and like just the way it attacks you. It keeps on going beyond that moment. Um, and then of course you have people, like I said, that'll blame you. So like, and then you blame yourself. And then like people wonder why women don't talk about abuse or rape or things like that, because it's like, if it's not like you physically getting punched in the face and laying bloody on the floor, people feel like, well, some part of you must have not really cared because you really didn't fight back, or um, we're not understanding like the mental and psychological and spiritual toll that takes on people as well. That it's not just a physical attack. It's not just one on the physical plane. Like it's one that is sometimes more easily controlled than, say, physical like violence, like a punch. But like I said, rape is different for everybody. There's no cookie cutter way. There's no definition that like it's basically yes that violation on that plane, but that can exist in so many levels. It's that not consenting to it. I didn't give you permission for this, and so but people miss that understanding. And so with that, we develop all these things that we tell ourselves, and then like the worthiness and that we deny ourselves, and then we tell ourselves that we're not going to be functional after this, or we'll fake functionality, or we'll fake relationships, or we'll fake interactions because we want to seem healthy and we want to seem normal, we want to seem that we moved on from it, but all we're doing is we end up bringing that trauma and that pain and that hurt and those bags with us. And not only is it not really healthy to drop that on somebody else's feet without understanding what that's going to mean. Like you just can't leave it there with somebody else if you're not understanding what it means in your life. So just understanding what you're carrying with you, and then trying to figure out if you are in fact ready to move on from that space. If you are in fact ready, and I guess it does depends on what sex does mean to you. If it's more than just a physical um, release, that if it is a mental, spiritual, energetic one, especially, I encourage you to figure out what you're carrying with you, because who knows, that possibly could be translated to somebody else that you're dealing with. So, like, this is not a conversation that occurs in one moment. This is not a conversation that we just make a 10-minute video about and then it's over. This is an ongoing idea of healing after sexual trauma, about putting ourselves in a space where we're ready to be intimate, if that is what you desire, once again, and not feeling like you, I don't know, are dirty after it. I do want to say that I have made it so, like, it sounds so weird, but I have experienced intimacy post sexual trauma, things like that. So it was, I would say that it was a good experience for me, and experience and things like that sounds like so mechanical, and like it takes the personality or the personalness out of the act or whatever, this sacredness, if you want to say it that way. But basically, it was one of those, like I said, I set myself up for understanding like what I was bringing. I decided to try to clear myself of those negative thoughts that you tell yourself, the reasons that you give yourself where you're not ready. So like sometimes they're good reasons. Sometimes you really aren't ready, and sometimes it's just you're avoiding connecting with other people because you just fear that you're not making the right decision. It's hard to see even if this is good because it's like, you know what, I've been bamboozled so many times, I don't trust nobody type thing. So like I didn't want to end up one of those people who just like I can't trust any human. It's like um then it's like because that leaves you in a space by yourself, and then it comes to the point like you feel like you can't trust any human. You are left in a space where you're by yourself, and then you still don't trust yourself either. And so it's like it's not a good space to be in. So it's like it's one of those like if you're understanding where you're coming from and what you're bringing to the table and the things that you have gone through, it makes it easier to not only trust others, but it makes it easier to build a relationship with yourself because you're listening to the person that you are and you're trying to become. So like I said, I took time to try to clear myself of those that past trauma, the fake relationship that I had at the time, and then the feelings and the emotions that accompanied the rape. I wrote things down. I wrote down how I felt. I wrote down the things that were going through my head at the time. And it's one of those things for a while I avoided thinking about what my mind was going through. And what even led me up to being having trouble resisting or having trouble fighting back, as somebody would say, it was because the night before, well, not even the night before, a week, like the whole week before, several times I had some dreams about like me lying in the hospital in a coma. Like I'm hearing those beeps of the respirators. I'm hearing these machines going off, and it's one of those in the distance you hear the name of the person who almost tried to kill you. And so then when that translates to the person who's now, trying to take that sexual power from you, it throws you off because it's like my mouth seized up, my throat closed, I couldn't talk. It's like I wanted to fight back, and then my whole body just is like, "Yep, you're gonna shut down now because if you shut down now, or you set yourself up to be hurt even more." So in my mind, I'm going through like, "Yo, I'm not about to die today, so I'm not even about to have that altercation." So I'll withdraw inside. So I even took those feelings and understanding and processing what that felt like and what that meant, um, and tried to see how that related to me interacting with new people, with new men, with the stories that I shared. How open and vulnerable was I? And I started to realize that it wasn't even that I was afraid of what other people might think. I was downright. It was my judgments on myself. Like I was like, how could you let this happen to you? Type thing. So didn't want to even admit my vulnerability to myself. And so having those conversations with myself, um, I actually had to go through that space, the time, like when it came time to say to transition to a consensual intimate encounter. Um, I really had to tell myself that this person is not the same. That this person is because I had put up a wall. I had noticed the energy block that I had put up. I noticed the headspace that I had gone in, and I realized that I didn't want fake, genuine connections, and I didn't want to miss out on what can be a real life experience. So, and this is like for me, it's more. Sex was more than is more than just the physical. So because I'm setting myself up there for that and clearing myself out energetically, um, having these conversations with myself is necessary. All right, this is not the same type of energy. It's not the same person. You notice this. You've noticed your intention in trying to create the space for healthy space. You have tried to clear out the stuff that is negative. So just it's a learning curve. Like trusting yourself once again and finding that space where you don't have to second guess everything. And like I said, it's a learning space because it's not something that I think I get right every day. Um, I'm still in some moments of like, yeah, not feeling this, not or in my attachment issues, and then retreating and running away issues. Those are how vulnerability manifested me. I don't act out or get angry, I tend to just like withdraw and go ghost. I'll dip out and just be like, you know what? I'll wash my hands of this, and you'll never know that I was here. And 5 years later, you'll be thinking like, yo, whatever happened to that Lauren girl? I don't know. So yeah, so I didn't want that to be who I continue to be. I have witnessed myself for 10 years being that revolving door person where all these cycles keep repeating themselves because I'm not dealing with the hurt and trauma and the pain that I already have. And I'm just allowing more and more to build up before I even deal with it. So, like I said, this is not a conversation that's going to happen in one day, 1 hour, um, one little video. And it's more of what I'm trying to bring to the Trap Queens table, to the Trap House table, about how, like, being open and honest and vulnerable with the real shit that we got going on. Like I said, like the time of everything is important sometimes, or it's to notice the timing of things. So like Jay-Z's album was timely because look how many months y'all spent ragging on um, women for like just being all in Beyonce's album, and y'all was mad at her for talking shit about Jay-Z. And like I said, music, like I love art for the fact that people get to express themselves. I love when artists feel true and genuine. Um, so, and then I just love the timing of that expression and that energy in our space. We discount how much that creative energy has an effect on this planet. But that's another conversation for another day. But to have Jay-Z's album come out where he's being honest with himself and with y'all and vulnerable and open and saying, yo, like, this is not the way we elevate. And that's what I'm taking for it. Like, y'all could take just the simple rap album for a minute, but just the timing of messages. Because it's not like he's saying anything new. He's not. He's not even saying anything new for a conscious rapper. I think it's because it's Jay-Z saying it that more people will pay attention, which is cool. Just like Lemonade. Like, people weren't receiving the messages that folks have been talking about for decades and decades, and Beyonce releases it, and we got a whole generation of people trying to figure out who the Black Panthers are. So it's like, don't shoot the messenger, just appreciate the timing. So that's what I'm speaking on right now. So like finding the strength and the power in that vulnerability, because when you can stand in your vulnerable space and say, look at the fuck, look at this shit, look at what's going on, and you can still find, like, nobody can take you down then. Like, you're in the midst of the thing that people consider, or you consider, your weakest moment, and you're standing on that strength, and you're standing in that acknowledgement, and you're standing in this space where you're saying, I'm going to move on from it. Nobody can take, like, how somebody, like, that's the only thing they can use against you, your vulnerability. And if you've already accepted that's what's vulnerable about you, and you've tried to work through it, then nobody can take that power from you, you know? So, yeah. So, like, just using this energy in this space to find ways as a community for us to heal. Because there's power in what we've got going on, but we're just surrounded by so much extra hurt and baggage and just destruction, that energy that we just keep holding on to because we feel that holding on to the destructive part of the energy is what makes us strong. No, it's about opening and showing those weak spots so that we can fill it in, you know, with that good gold or whatever, and keep going and be stronger for it. So yeah, this is going to be a regular thing, maybe on Free Yourself Friday. Definitely going to be more open to the ladies as we talk about, you know, the trauma and the dealings that is being female on this planet, in this space, in these bodies, in this color. Because I feel it is important to not only create a space where we feel comfortable, but we create a space for healing. Like, this is not just to be aware of what's going on with our lives. It's like, how do we move past it? How do we strengthen ourselves? How do we strengthen our resolve? How do we become better people for our people, type thing. So, right. So it's like I said, it's Free Yourself Friday. I'm done with the live broadcast. I guess I'll upload some more videos this weekend. If you're in Cleveland, July and August, Tuesdays and Thursdays, meet me up at Garfield Park at the Old Birch Picnic area. That's up at the top of the hill, off and to the left. It's a nice little grassy spot over there, nice parking lot. Just park in the parking lot and walk over. You'll see the mats, you'll see the signs. It's a free donation-based class. So if you've got it in you to make sure that somebody else can, you know, get a mat or get access to class, then bring what you got. But yeah, so I'm gonna be announcing some more dates. We'll be in Pittsburgh July 29th, and I will be in Gulfport, Mississippi, July 19th, and looking at some dates in August for Detroit and Chicago. All right, all right. So yeah, let's get it. Like I said, like we want a trap to get up out this trap. Like we want to find ways to get above and rise above and find peace and healing. Because sometimes some of us are not gonna be able to get off the trap as fast as we want to, but we still have to be in a space where nobody can touch us, even if we are in some shit that they might not understand. All right, all right.